Hey, glad to be here. It's Miramar time. Miyamo S. Toffees. I'm joined by the Cammy D. My guy, I looked the wrong way. I should look this way. How's it going? Good to see you.
That's fine. Hi. Uh,
Hi.
hi.
Hi. So I just want to say, Poro, I think you guys are killing it up there. He actually said I'm taking apart his performance. I think his performance is beautiful. Just like the performance of Elusive, which our panel so adequately assessed their skill levels earlier. What did you think of that last game, Cameron? Did Elusive live up to the hype?
It was a bit. I don't know. It was a bit of a strange one. This entire Challengers Cup is a bit wild to follow. I think I just want to see more of these teams actually go for it. I know it's a common thing to say constantly, especially when you're looking at teams from the Challenger Cup. I'm just not feeling as much proactivity. I don't know if it's nerves for a lot of the new players or just how much is really is on the line here in the Challenger Cup. It's 1,500 for the
Yeah.
top four, and you really want that money. But the problem is, compared to the regular season for PCS3, the Challenger Cup, in order to get here, or I guess actually it's comparable to the Challenger Cup because of the different phases, but you have 12 games. That is very little room for error. But come on, Toffees. For as many years as we have been watching the competitive side of this game, how many times have we seen a team who is in maybe like in the final stretch, currently second place or third place, or maybe even first place, and then you could tell they decide internally, we're just going to play safe so we can maintain that position. Tell me, how many times does it actually work out in their favor?
Well, I mean, I guess there was the last time that STK won a tournament, but that was really about it. No, I agree with you. It's an old sports idea that if you fall back and play hard defense, you lose your chance to really sort of have any control. So we'll see how that plays out as we get a nice little tour of Los Leones right now. Actually, it's very pretty. So we take a look at the map. The plane is in the air. It's an interesting one, Cameron. It's not dead middle. The north teams will have a good advantage. They can go anywhere they want, but once you get down to that southern side, it's going to cut off that entire section of the map there on the Never Eat Shredded Wheat, the southwest part. Let's not talk about it. And that's fine, though, because the circle can't go there anyway. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, Miramar is such a large map that it shouldn't really cut too many players out. And if you drop around Valdemar, then, well, that's sort of an issue
anyway.
Clear up. Yeah, that's something else that you need to consider going into this, or at least you should be prepared to have to go towards your plan B. So with a plane path like this, I don't think it's going to affect anyone too terribly. But we're moving over. This is the big thing. We're moving over from Airgull over towards Miramar, and I'm curious to see how these teams are going to adjust to the map swap, the map switch. I think just the play on Miramar, macro is very, very important during like the first phase, 2 phases, maybe even 3. But once you hit the mid game or the end game, it's almost like the micro play, the actual shooting, the fragging ability is weighted heavily more towards that favor compared to Erangel. And so this is going to test the gun skills out more than anything else.
Well, it's more forgiving though, and hit him. It's harder with the right. Not enough damage, and now Cap's got a. He really wants this. So the chase is on the way as he tries to use that light pole to buy a little bit of time. Quirk are going to have to eventually. He's defending the other car. There's no way this works.
There's no way.
Wait!
No!
Olay! Olay!
I was about to call out Enland for not just leapfrogging one at a time to the rock, to the pole, to the car, then to the next pole. But he skipped the pole and went straight for the buggy. But that with that, broke the ankles of the. If bikes had ankles, they'd be broken.
I expect the bullfight to take place in El Pozo, but here it took place just outside of Picado as he gets inside and gets to start his looting process. A little low on health from the get-go, but yeah, he'll get away. That's always fun to see, and honestly, it seems like it happens far more on Miramar Cameron, this sort of like one person possibly dying during the car grabbing phase. Part of that, I think, is the cars here on Miramar are a very hot commodity. But let's go back to what we were talking about earlier. You talked about the late game, and I will say something that comes into play for me here is there's a lot more forgiveness to Miramar in that sort of mid-late game. There's more places to hide. There's places to sort of get away with a bad late rotation and hunker down inside of a ditch. And also, you don't have as long to land those shots on somebody who's transitioning. I'm going to be honest, Cameron. I watched Challengers round of 16 and 32. They don't hit their shots as often as some of the PCS teams do. Like, I'm going to be real. And so that does mean that maybe some of these teams that have been playing at that PCS level will have an advantage in those chances where you really got to land all 3 of those shots. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the politically correct way of saying it is that they don't punish as effectively in challengers as they do in the pro scene. But yeah, I do get what you're saying. I do see what you're saying. This is really just going to go down towards, again, more communication between the squad, keeping power up as long as you can, and just playing the base, bare fundamentals, because the ability to actually counterplay your opponents, go against specifically what you think they're going to do, is incredibly difficult at this level. It's all about, as I said, just the fundamentals.
Now, I want to chime in here as we looked at Liberate there for a second. At the end of PCS, I took a very specific point to say Baja Waka has not been living up to expectations of his return. He then went out and absolutely destroyed in that game. So I'm going to say again that Baja Waka has been a bit of a letdown because I need Liberate really to step up here. This is a team that I have believed in for a while, Cameron, that they were developing, that they had long-term potential, and so far it just hasn't delivered.
Yeah, I think that there were a number of different surprises during the regular season for PCS3, and Liberate were one of them. They were such a promising team at the end of PCS2, but I feel like something happened internally, 2 roster changes, and they still had to figure something out. And granted, it is easy to underestimate how much of an adjustment changing 2 entire players out. That's half the squad, because this isn't like football. This isn't any other esport that has like a hard in-game leader that just micromanages everyone, where everyone has like your one role that you commit to and you know how to do that every single time. There is so much involved with every personality coming into play, communication, chemistry, all these sort of unquantifiables. And if you don't have the right fit, or if that fit changes last minute or however long you have, it can be a lot of work to adjust to a new system where everyone is firing on all cylinders.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at Monkey Business as we watch this transition. Now, Monkey Business, Clover touched on them a little bit at the end of their segment, and I think the reality with this team, and she sort of brought it up, is that they keep making it to the dance, but this is the second time that they will have made it to the Challengers Cup out of the Challengers Series, and the second time they'll have a chance to sort of set their narrative. Last time, it just didn't work out, and it feels a little weak this time so far, but they seem like they have potential.
Yeah, I mean, they're currently in last place, but if you make it this far enough, certainly the experience is going to come to you. But action is already popping off. I know it's phase 1, so it's shocking, but we saw a loose fight between Greta and Addit. Addit is going to come out on top, but unfortunately, Cap had lost another member because his rotation to the center of the map is getting torn apart. Plube goes down. He should be taken out pretty. Yep, there it is. Keck W Kier is able to get the confirm onto that one.
This is really tough for me to watch. Orion. This is the third time that they've been in the Challengers Cup. They've added yet another star to their belt, but they are just struggling to sort of set themselves at the upper echelon. I feel like they've got the potential. Gwen Stacy plays really cleanly. I loved the Greta ab to that team, and it's just not working out, and it's so frustrating for me to watch this team get close so many times, Cameron, and not come through. I hope it works this time around. I think it will. I think it will. I want to see them back.
They're in a good starting position on the leaderboard, I think.
That's good.
But it's all about, again, it's 12 games. We're only, what is it, a quarter of the way through? So if you pick it up and get all those points, you can climb to a good position. It's still pretty tight around the leaderboards. I actually don't have the numbers right in front of me. I thought I were able to get them memorized, but that's on me. That's my bad. I trusted, I believed in myself a little bit too much. But unless you're at the lower end, I think if you're able to turn it up on the latter half of the day, you can put yourself in a good position going in towards tomorrow.
Well, and I think it was the Keck boys that literally went from 13th after the first day of play in the round of 16 to 3rd. So I also think there is something to be said. There is a lot of movement in these lobbies. The fact that they're only playing 12 games, it's only 2 days of play, means that no matter how your first day goes, theoretically, you can get as many points as the first place team did on the second day, theoretically. So there is a chance to always make a comeback, right? Like if you're just talking on a straight mathematical blah, 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 which I don't do much of, but it is what it is, you can try to make that come up. So every team needs to keep that positive mental attitude as they move throughout these days, whether or not it starts bad for them. Guabi, here we go. Let's check out. He's got the convertible. He's moving to a good rotation spot. I have enjoyed watching Guabi play over the last few phases, but again, it feels like Liberate, though they're in 3rd, have been a little quieter than I'm used to.
Yeah,
they're letting Keck be crazy. They're letting Keck W be the crazy guys out there.
I just don't know if being crazy is necessarily in their strength, leading to their
Mm.
strength. I forget who said it on the desk, but one of them said that I think it was Clover's, that they waited until like the final day to really turn it on. And I think you could be more specific. It was the final circle of the final game of the final day before we really saw a little bit of what we expected from Liberate. So as long as they can, perform well in this event, I don't want to write them off just yet because I do think the parts to that team are still really good.
Yes.
Clueless arriving in this compound, taking a little bit of damage, but all in time for the circle shift, which shifts onto where most people were already playing in the area of north of Los Leones. Very few teams are not in this circle, and most of them were already coming in late or just barely coming in on the edge in the case of Liberate. So no one's going to have to maneuver around too much. I say that. There's a crash coming on through.
Oof, Virtue coming in. Nades come out. Evasian going to try to get inside, so they jump through the window. Zevran was up on top. He checks the left, checks the right, gets knocked down, but hurts Evasian, only 14 HP. But they've got the flush, and now they have the building, so they'll be able to heal up, lock down, and Ascendance just wasn't able to hold.
Really good initial take, but the rest of Ascendance is still here, holding the stairwell. It's actually going to be 2 knocks on the side of Ascendance. 2 down, one of them fully confirmed. Ripper tries to come in for the second confirm, but an angle held by Super is going to punish that. It's going to make this a 2 versus 2. Maji finds an off angle. Nades coming through. Open door, a lot of fire in. And the push coming in from Super. Those footsteps are certainly heard.
Super going around the outside, looking to see if he can't find Magi, who's coming in to give them some backup. Jumps out of the blue house, immediately takes fire from the 3X. Gonna go ahead and pelt the SUV instead of the bad guy. Now it's just Super who's left for Virtue, trying to go up against Magi. It's a 1v1, but if Magi goes for the reses, it will not be much longer. Cues the grenade, gets it cooked up, tossed in the window. Magi has to fall back. They're playing a little ring around the Rosie as they run around the shack side to side. Super decides to go in. He looks, if he can stop Magi, he can also try to get the flushes. Going for the hallway peek. He knows he's gonna have to try to push in. Maji got the peek on him as he made the transition, went for the flush, and Maji capitalizes. That's the end of Super, and Send will manage to get 1 res. My question, Cameron, is Virtue breached the house next to this one. They got the knock, they had control, and while the heals were still going on, 2 members of Virtue pushed into this compound instead of waiting for everyone to be back up and ready to push. Was that the right play, or was that a little too aggressive?
It was a little aggressive. I just think they didn't want to allow Ascendance to all group up together because they were a little split on their own. But right now, this taking back the top of the hill that they just left previously, confirming a kill onto UMAD. A lot of smokes being deployed super early, perhaps to get Shuru out of danger because there are a lot of lines of sight you could see onto this position from Rarity and from a couple of other squads as well. They see Liberate rotating past too. Shuru's going to make the open run. A lot of cover, at least enough cover, so he doesn't get knocked. Yeah. Subtle, another death against Rarity.
Rarity goes down. Unfortunate team has been up and down throughout the PCS series franchise. Rarity is their 2nd time defending their PCS spot since they moved into the PCS from Challengers Cup 1. So Rarity has basically been in every single one of these, and since making their advance to PCS, has had to defend their spot in each Challenger Cup. Let's see if they can do it again going forward in this one. Cozy looking to contest that. Tetra and Vexel. I got to be honest, Tetra still around, has been around a long time, Cameron. We've watched him play for a while. I remember him at the qualifiers for the original PGC, trying to grind it out and get into that one. And obviously they fell short during the regional qualifiers. But you got to respect that kind of work ethic, sticking with it, even though it's been a long time since you've been able to play at the highest level.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams honestly in this event that have been trying to grind out for the longest time and just barely unable to get to the top level, to the top 16 on a regular basis. There'll be a couple of glimpses of them here and there, but yeah, that's just
I mean, that's how it is.
The West, it goes onto the high ground, which I like to see. If it was all out in the open on the fields on the right side, that would have been more problematic. Though I think Gravity surely, as well as Supremacy, would have appreciated it. But there's a lot of high ground here to play around with. Monkey Business, though, already inside La Bendita. That's a bit of a curious decision, but with a shift like this, they should just be able to wait it out and at least climb some placements.
La Bandita is a tough one. A lot of issues around that crater if the circle decides to go in that direction. So we'll see sort of how that plays out. I'm just happy it's not another graveyard circle. We're getting a lot of those lately, so this should be interesting. Liberate still with 4 players up. Ice Tech going to be the focus of our camera for the time being. Again, a team that I thought when Baja Waka was added to this roster, no offense to Matthias, but I thought this was sort of might be what they needed. The elder statesman, the person who's been through it all before. It just doesn't feel like it's clicking just yet, and I don't know why. We saw Baja turn it on in various individual games. I've just yet to see him put it together in back-to-back-to-back performances.
We're in a good position now.
Much more positive about him. You're doing great, buddy.
It's been a while. It's obviously going to take a little bit to get back into the form that we saw at the end of NPL. But either case, the Liberator currently actually in a really good position, fairly alone. Doesn't have too much to contend with, a lot of lines of sight, which is good for information throughout the mid-game. The only issue is any hard shifts, but they have their vehicles prepped, it looks like. A lot of teams also rotating in. Clueless still on the hunt for a place to go, and they do finally find an open home. Shuru, the last to arrive on a bike. A couple of shots at him, but doesn't look like he's going to get caught. Makes a big old jump. Doesn't make it into the window. That would have been sweet to see, but instead he's going to pull the bike into the garage.
that was why were you both watching him drive his bike in? I don't understand that. That said, Team Clueless, is another team who has played in every single Challengers Cup to date. It is a very different roster than it was in Challengers Cup 1. That said, I think that they have a little something to prove. Do you think that that's mentally frustrating for some of these teams that have been in every Challengers Cup? I mean, that's got to make it tough to sort of maintain and keep going sometimes, Cameron.
Yeah, but you just got to stick it out. You don't get into this industry for wanting easy passes in.
Mental tenacity.
Yeah, exactly. And not having an absolute passion that could potentially destroy other aspects of your life.
All right. Intense. Let's take a look at Supremacy, who Soup does not play on, by the way. I was shocked when I saw that. That said, I do love Soup, though I will not order it without telling you, I promise. As an appetizer. It's very important to be aware of that. They had a really good game. Let me see. I think Supremacy was the team that was putting up. Yeah, okay, so during the round of 32, they had 128 points, 89 of which were from kills. That is absolutely bananas, but they can't seem to find chicken dinners, Cameron. In that entire phase, 128 points, not one chicken dinner.
I mean, doesn't matter. They get the kills, they're getting the points.
We'll see.
That means they do have a surprising amount of double-digit placements, at least during the round of 16, but they pick up kills all the time. I just don't think we've really seen that firepower unlocked just yet. But Miramar, I think, is a perfect map to turn it on during. And we just saw that big rotation across the field, taken to the side of the hill, and they get an opening knock. I'm waiting to see the push. I don't know if they're in a position to immediately capitalize on it, especially because it was Lister that got knocked. Perhaps trying to wait for a second, or even wait to see if they can't, of course, take advantage of that angle that we saw Fem try and hold. Grenade comes through. Don't think it makes its way into a smoke.
A lot of people looking at this one. ELPX up on the hill, Gravity on the opposite side. Honestly, the first of these teams to push PDS is probably going to be the one that doesn't come out on top, because the other team, the other side, is basically going to wait for that trigger to go ahead and get involved in there. I do like Supremacy's little divot. They've got this kind of valley thing working in their favor. PDS, in its own way, is drawing the fire from everyone else around them as they look at that compound. So maybe that's Supremacy's play is, you know what, let's just stay here. Let's take a little utility away from them, maybe knock off some helmets, and leave well enough alone. You So Ugly gets a knock on Retaliative over in other parts of the map. Let's take a nice big scan of where everybody is right now. We'll jump over to Elusive. The Bells of the last game's ball, after getting a bit of a talking to, they stepped up, but they just, honestly, I think it was deserved. Elusive is a team that time and time again finds themselves struggling for survival and fighting for their place. And they've got the pedigree at this point not to be doing that, Cameron.
We can capitalize on this. It is spotted. Shots traded back and forth. I thought Guab was a sitting duck right there, but he's going to hop back into his vehicle, not going to give an opportunity to re-peek out. Good shots landed to force them away, but Liberty going to have to continue to move in and figure out where exactly they can play, because that spot, that's not free. That's not safe for them to go at all. They're putting themselves in the low ground immediately below them, so they're going to have to scramble for a strong position here. Elusive as well, they're trying to make work of the limited high ground that they have, because they're going to need to cross the road eventually. They are on the southern edge. Ryan in the way. Cap in the way, and now they know that Liberator are also in their way.
Yeah, it's not great for them. And honestly, it's a couple of teams I definitely don't want to be dealing with during that cross phase. We'll jump back over and check on the pros don't snake gravity supremacy standoff as the three parties sort of keep staring at each other. They bought a little bit of extra time. It looks like Reknar will load up the car, move it to a more feasible position, stash it with the rest of the gear. ELPX still up on the high ground, laying some hot lead down in their direction, but ELPX gets the knock on Skazka. And again, it's PDS that is taking the brunt of everybody else's ire in this area.
I'm shocked that no one's been really pushing in. Gravity have gotten closer to the buildings, but I think it's just, I mean, the fact that ELPX was the ones who got that kill on PDS on Skazka just means how pinned down PDS are. They seem to be unable to land the shots necessary in order to deter any more peaks, any more approaches. And with a shift like this, they're going to have to focus all their attention on the gravity side of things. But then Soup could just focus fire and gatekeep whatever survives out of that chaos.
Soup is just going to be sitting there in the kitchen waiting for everybody to come see them. As PDS will have to fight gravity and then move into supremacy, I expect them to just hold their spot. We might see a team rotating down towards that ridge, as is pretty popular. Nice, Guabi gets the shot, eliminates No Cap with a quick pick on You So Ugly, who actually was making a play on them earlier, so a nice turn of events. Gravity has entered the compound. The fight is on. As Gravity looks for PDS, PDS is going to hold the long building all by their lonesome. That's not a lot of visual in that building. It is a very tough one to hold, but it is also a tough one to breach. So Gravity looks like maybe they'll decide that sometimes the better part of Valor is a willingness to disengage, and they'll go around the outside of the compound. But that will expose them, Cameron, to supremacy as well as possibly Ascendance.
Are they the ones exposed, or is Ascendancy exposed to them? Because they got a quick knock there. It's going to be a 4 versus 1. It's all going to be on Beck trying to go for the revive, but Gravity, they realize this is an open angle. PDS are way too pinned down to be peeking us properly, even assuming they even do have the sight lines. The question is, what are Supremacy going to do? I don't know the information that Gravity might have. Supremacy arrived earlier on. They could just be putting themselves in a hornet's nest right now. Look how wide they're spreading out. This is very, very greedy coming in from the side with limited information.
This is lusty hunger here as Pankill goes up over the hill looking to find himself back. Beck is falling back inside of the smoke. Supremacy is going to become part of the story relatively soon. Meanwhile, 2 players of Elusive go down. They had to finally push and deliberate. Zovran has opened up on... Okay, so we finished off Reno, and now Supremacy fight has broken out. Zovran comes through. Ascendance is ditched, but Supremacy managed to get 1 knock on D-Rich.
Kind of a slow start for Gravity. They're just landing shots on anyone and everyone.
Oh my God.
I thought this big wide net that they're casting over the entire east side was going to get torn to shreds, but they have 1 knock. D-Rich, I don't think is going to get picked up, unfortunately. Yeah, there he goes. But still, picked up 4 kills in a matter of maybe 30 seconds. And now Supremacy just lost a second. This time to PDS.
It looks like Supremacy tried to engage PDS, and at the meantime, Gravity managed to get the backstab and has made a big play. Sociopath finishes off Honey. Lipson decides to go ahead and try to lock them out as the blue is closing. Not a lot of options for Sociopath as he heads back in to try to heal. The door is going to be held by Lipson, who's just going to stand here. Nope, they're going in. Gravity is playing to win. Lots of aggression. He pops up to go over, but Gravity chasing from behind. He's going to go down, though, because he vaulted instead of jumped. Lipson dies to Sociopath, and now Pankill is at half health and outnumbered. Bind jump, boys.
Started out so strong, but it just got slowed down, and I think you're right about calling out the vault being the main issue there.
Bind jump to a separate button.
Yes.
Say it again for those in the back.
Jump and vault need to be separate buttons, 100%. Pankill right now has to survive in this 1 versus 2 with the knowledge that there's at least 1 member of Supremacy remaining to potentially third party this. And actually, there Reknar goes, immediately taking out Sociopath. Pankill should have seen that in the kill feed, should know at least get a little bit of information from that, but the blue is pushing in, so he can't go back inside the building. Gonna prep a med before he peeks out from behind the corner, but this is gonna be a lot of damage.
No. It started so well for Gravity, and then it just fell apart. Dirty going to come outside. Pankill super low, but very exposed as he's trying to make his way out. Supremacy will do the dirty Zin by holding him inside of the compound and buying time for Pankill to get away. Pros Don't Snake ultimately go out as Reknar wrecks Dirty and drops him out of the game. Liberate making a rotation. Oh my gosh, ELPX is just watching him at close range. Baha! What? Oh! Play jumps out of the car and just flicks and dumps on Milo.
Really good job there.
Milo.
The smoke's already played out to try and get Ice Tech back up and stay as 3.
Sick.
But I think Keck W, they hear this. They smell blood in the water. They're going to push off of that information. Winnie and what are words? Redaliative pushing forward, but also Liberate spotting out Gravity on the north side. Zavra needs to run and hide. Liberate might have zero clue of Keck W right over that corner.
And you know they'll push. These guys love to fight. So Retaliative waiting for the chance to line up the shot at Hello Senpai. Calls out the position, sees that he wasn't identified where he is, so he can sort of play this a little bit slowly, but I don't expect them to. These guys like to start the fight. It looks like they're going to start right now. Opens fire, gets that first knock on poor Ice Tech, who just got picked up, as immediately put down. Keck will fall back, however, and the rain will continue as Pankill shoots at Liberate. Liberate is in a bit of a sticky wicket as it looks like Keck W Kiers want to keep coming forward.
Grenade prep. He wants to secure that kill, or actually Ice Tech's already down, but a nice grenade either way, right onto Hello Senpai. It's all into Baja trying to take this 1 versus 4, but the grenades utility continuing to fly in. Smokes as well, though, to not allow any peeks from his end. And you could potentially go for the revive because the circle pulls away, but I don't think Keck W are going to want to leave this position. These are 2 free, easy kills, but where's the push? Where's the follow-up? It's not at all. They're actually backing away.
Baja Waka. He gets it. All right, so that's a win. They get him up. Nice. It was lucky for them that Keck W Kiers pulled away. I do think part of that was that fire you're seeing come from Zovran off in the distance, as there was no way to go over the top of that hill without potentially losing someone. And that shows smart play by the Kiers to know that sometimes you just have to walk away, and they do that. Simply Mac going to jump in this truck, start to make his rotation, but he's still keeping a very close eye on where the guys from Liberate are, as well as blocking off these sight lines from Pankill and the remaining members of Gravity.
Low ground for this squad, low ground for even Liberate trying to push on in. But it's not going to be a free peek for anyone. No one's going to be even peeking them because everyone else has just been hiding in La Bandito. I've been watching the east and the south side of the map. Yep. Everyone else has just been, I mean, I guess you could call it a city. It's a bit of a liberal use of that term. But the rotate does come up.
Oh, baby!
Oh, the Baja spots Zovran, immediately hits the prone when he realizes the first couple of shots didn't go his way, but falls away because he's expecting more utility. But it's not just that. Angles from so many different teams. He's alive for 1 more second before Pankill extends just enough to tap his little toe away.
His little toe falls off, but Retaliative heard the shots and now wants to continue the work on Gravity. They want to pay back those bullets that stopped them from coming in to get the Liberate kills earlier, and they are very aware of the location. That said, if they can take them out, it puts Keck W Kiers in a pretty good spot as they will have control of the crater top. Smoke coming out. Retaliative does go down, but there's plenty of space to get the res. Yep, the fire is short. Wait a minute.
How it's not? Oh, hilltops, they're hard to land. But while the revive does come off, Gravity are able to push just a little bit closer. They're going to have to heal themselves because they're getting shot from across the way for them. Keck W. Winnie dropping Zovran is huge. It's all into Pankill right now, and he's going to get peeked.
Pankill at 12 health, going to try to hold his ground here. The flashes are coming out left and right. The second time Pankill has been flashed during this phase, but he saw him come over the top. It wasn't enough. Retaliative was knocked, picked up, healed, and got the vengeance kill on Pan. So he's going to go down. They're going to get themselves some gear, and now they control the south of the crater. They have crater top and can peek down into the mess that is a bunch of ostriches who've literally buried their heads in the sand down there.
Problem is the next circle is going to go dead center. And so they have the high ground. what line of sight is there. All of these people are going to have to overextend, just peek their neck out for them to get a kill here. The only thing they have in their advantage is that Clueless, who are in the dead center, best controlling the game right now, have an open ceiling, a lot of potential lines of sight to land the shots, and Shuru is controlling this Mark 14.
I believe in Keck W. If Obi-Wan has taught me anything, it's that when you have the high ground, you will win. All right. They can't be beaten. So they know that they're up here. It's going to be a tough push for them. Clueless is waiting. And Shuru, to his credit, has had some very clean peaks. He seems to know how to watch this ridge line and sort of where to expect them to come out. That said, the rest of the teams down there have been wildly passive, like really passive. See, hits everything. That was Hambino. Let's go ham, fam.
Well, we'll take it anyway. Shuru, there you go.
There you go.
And it stops Keck from being able to really push forward. They're prepping the vehicles potentially for even a full send. There they actually go. The vehicles, trying to make their way in. But this is where NHS's position comes into play. Gets a knock on a retaliative. And now it's just Matt trying to go for the revive, but the follow-up grenade, I think, goes just a little bit too far. Damage, but no kill.
That was a bit of a pucker. Simply Matt looking for the push. Doesn't seem to come. I think he might go for it as NHS is not interested in pushing forward. So he will go ahead and throw some flames in the building, maybe try to stop them from pushing out. He lets Retaliative die, actually, and decides to instead try to inflame NHS. Clueless doing a ton of heavy lifting for everyone else who's hiding in Bandita as they act as the gatekeepers into this fortified city.
Well, they're all going to have to come to Clueless's position anyway, and so they want to get rid of Keck W as quickly as possible, because if they start to get attacked from both sides, from the west of Keck W and the south, and then the east of everyone else, it could be a bit too much to handle. They're just hoping that everyone else sort of kills each other first, like Tomas here at the line onto Nitrogen. Smoke stopping a little bit, pulls out the M4, lands a few more shots, but still no knock.
Accuracy through volume doesn't always pan out, but it's always worth a shot. Simply Matt searching around, trying to find a little action with some pre-fire. The rest of his team still up on the hilltop. The dot's in the middle. The boy's going to have to start to close in. You see Math coming forward and play for fun. A nice little play on words as they try to come forward. Keck W, Simply Matt taking a lot of damage. Clueless still short up in a pretty good position. Math popping out the window, looking for some play to make. NHS was knocked. Matt does get the heals up. Meanwhile, Big Penguin catches Vexel from behind, but the boss dies on his way down.
Shuru repeats low HP because he's confident he's going to land the shot anyway, and he does so. It's all into Witty trying to run down for the last survivor of Keck. Like fun, Jew up as well, trying to clean up the rest of Cozy and Monkey Business. Repeat finds Big Penguin up to 3 teams, or rather down to 3 teams remaining as Keck W also annihilated. Now it's just down to 2 Nitrogen. What can this man do?
I don't know. Let's see if he can get gassed up, or will it just be a bit of laughing, and down he goes. Team Clueless comes out with the big W. A team that has been to every single one of these Challenger Cups gets a massive 9-kill win that they earned, I think, Cameron, because they defended an onslaught of teams. And you have to wonder if maybe Nitrogen and the boys had pushed a little bit earlier when they were focused on Keck W, could things have gone a little differently?
It's possible, but that many teams on that side, Cozy Crew and Play for Fun, as well as Monkey Business, they knew that if they tried to focus on Clueless, they just get shot in the back. It's what happens all the time when you see these city endings. It's a game of chicken. It's a catch-22. It's sort of the worst situation for everyone. Just Clueless did get lucky with that circle shift, putting the dead center of the ending right on top of them. But you're right, they did have to handle a push from multiple different directions. And that's where NHS, specifically on the north side, while he did get taken out eventually, played a key factor in not allowing Keck W to really wedge a position between them.
I will give a shout out to Keck W, though. We watched them for the last probably 8 to 10 minutes of that game because the fights were fun, exciting, and they never really gave up. They pushed, they backed off when they needed to, and these guys are showing a very clean aggression. I'm going to be honest, Cameron. I hope we see more going forward.
Yeah, I agree. This is definitely a good start to Miramar. A lot more fragging than I think we saw a little bit on Erangel. And I think these teams are figuring out that they need to go a little bit more aggressive. So hopefully that continues for the last 2 maps of the night.
This is literally a situation where these teams have to go hard or go home, and we'll see what happens next. Let's go back to the desk with Poro and the rest of the analyst team to talk about the map and let us know what cool things happen and maybe who they hope to see step up in the next round. Back to you, folks.
Go hard or go home. We only go hard here on
Oh.
this desk.
I thought you were gonna say we
That's
only
the-
go home.
No, we only go home once,
Yeah, that's
unfortunately. If we could go home multiple times, we'd probably figure out a way to do it. But so Keck, W Keers, and Team Clueless make it to the final circle of a weird one, for sure, to end in La Bendita Crater Clover. It's been a while since we've seen one end there.
It has, and you know what? This is actually one of my favorite ending spots because I think just the ability for some of those teams to take those close quarter angles, and we saw that quite a bit through some of those later game fights, a couple of solos trying to stay up through the end, but that positioning for Team Clueless put them in a dominant place to not only frag out, but really hold their own through the late game. It was really great to watch.
Well, it's Clueless getting the second win of the night. Godspeed. Is it going to be enough to kind of get them maybe a little bit of separation from the pack?
I think it'll help a little bit, but again, this is going to be such a tight race, and that's just because of how the teams who have won, as you mentioned earlier, have kind of faltered in the game afterwards. But Clueless came back, man, and I am super excited to see them up there. Liberate is another team to talk about really quick on that note, just because they looked like they were going to kind of make it to the end, and then things kind of fell apart. My biggest question in bringing Liberate up is Keck W Keers are pretty good, it seems. If I'm not mistaken, Simply Matt came from that team, Liberate. If I'm, I wonder. It just seems like things are kind of starting to work out a little bit more in his favor. That's all, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
Did you see anything that really stuck out to you there in that last match, Clover?
I mean, you know, really, Godspeed brings up a fantastic point with Simply Matt. I think this is something we've all kind of talked about as well. Is what does he bring to a team? If not, you know, fragging power, he's got some great mechanics. But what we knew from Matt from PCS2 was his ability to shot call for the team. Obviously, now making that move is kind of seems like it's helping here. Keck up Akir is looking fantastic. Got a lot of kills. I mean, saying that, Liberate got 9. We did see a little bit of popping off from Baja Waka, but again, kind of falling apart in that mid game. So still able to bring good points. I think, you know, we gave him a lot of kind of flack, I guess, for their performance on Miramar, what we were expecting. So although heartbreaking to not see them up in the late game, they still were able to do something magical with that match.
Definitely some weird circle shifts, definitely on a weird ending. So we get an urban ending on Miramar in the strangest way we could probably get it. But let's take a look at some highlights while we talk about what happened in that last game. And what a start to this thing. I cannot believe Lane got away with this.
I don't know how he survived that first set, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were all thinking the same thing. We like, how did he get hit by an actual car?
This was a fun game for vehicles, right?
A fun game for
That was actually really nuts for Milo.
Yeah, in fact, I think Milo's position right there as well is also where we kind of saw that the end, I guess, of Liberate.
Oh, that hurt me to watch twice.
Oh, in fact, yep, here we go. Liberate, Baja Waka driving right past Milo. It's actually going to take out Milo here, but then not too long after, Keck W Keers kind of rotating into this position, putting the pressure on him. It's going to take him out early. So a heartbreaking end to all the work that Liberate put in that match. But again, right, this in-game finish right on top of the plane. Sharu, what a great angle.
Yeah, the last time... Sorry, I was just going to say the last time we saw that was, I think, Wolf. Wolf was up there with an op in PCS, so...
Oh, Wolf. And I think that was, where he was hiding in the bush there trying to survive for just a few more points for Yahoo. And I think that might have been the last time we saw.
Is it that or
Yahoo.
I don't even remember.
Might have been the last time we saw Wolf.
I think you're right. It was them versus Oath, that previous match. So guys.
I will say I saw a rare Wolf sighting in scrims this past week though, so everything still on the table. You never know. But okay, so Team Clueless starts off with the big win. I know we were keeping an eye on a few other teams, and Clover, I don't know if you got a chance to see where they ended up, but I know one of the teams that we were really kind of looking at was Monkey Business.
Yep.
You know, we got a couple of kills that match, but again, not as much as we kind of would have liked to have seen. Just 2. They went out in 5th, but, you know, doing something. It's just not a lot of something. Additionally, I think Orion, right? Another team that we've really been having the high hopes for, just can't seem to get it together today.
What is it about Orion, Godspeed, that has anything stuck out to you? Is like anything like super obvious, or is it just bad luck?
I just feel like watching Orion work right now, things just kind of feel a little disjointed. I feel like the team is not kind of working together as like a squad of four. And I'm not exactly even sure why. It's just they're having issues making it past the mid game, to be honest. They're having issues just making it to the late game. And I know I said this earlier in the broadcast, basically off the top, was you can't really afford to have a bad game. They've had two, but they're kind of cleaning it up. So as long as they can finish the next two games somewhat strong, at least 5 to 10 points each time, I think they'll give themselves that kind of breathing room to go into tomorrow and really attack the rest of the games.
A few teams looking to salvage their day. Let's take a look at the leaderboards and see who is doing what. There you go. Team Clueless with the 19 total points off of that chicken dinner. A lot of double-digit point getters in this one off of that weird circle, Clover.
A lot of teams really doing, wonders for themselves to make it. I mean, look, Clueless, Gravity, and Liberate all with 9 kills apiece. You absolutely love to see this. In fact, even though Liberate went out early, are going to place third for the match. But KEKW Kiers, 6 kills for themselves. Even Play for Fun, a team that has definitely needed something to kind of go their way today, are going to walk out of this with 10 points. So
go ahead.
I was going to say, the other impressive thing about this, really about just KEKW, is just the fact we just talked a lot about Simply Matt, but Tomas, Winnie, and Retaliative, I mean, they've been putting in a lot of work as far as kills have gone, and I think that in combination with what I would assume is Matt making the decisions or making the calls is helping that team out immensely.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure who is doing the shot calling on the team these days, but once again, we see Sharu up at the top of the leaderboard for kills and damage from that match. I imagine that'll do some
wonders.
Some good work for his campaign.
Some good wonders.
Yeah, I know. Look, man, you put me in a weird
spot. You and I on a desk
is
not good. Yeah, we cannot be on a desk.
Look, Clover is here to keep us grounded and keep us sane and keep us going in the right direction. Here's the overall leaderboard. Team Clueless and KEKW Kier is going to swap spots as they only 2 points though, as Clueless does get the win, but KEKW Kier's still right there. Anything? Yeah, there you go.
Placement points. Look at this. Placement points, 20 placement points for Clueless, 15 for KEKW Kier. So it's showing that right now, earlier we talked about consistency in teams that were kind of mixing up. Who was making it to the late game, who was coming out. Now that we're switching vibes to Miramar, Clueless is our first repeat chicken winner. And all of their placement points are from both of those chicken dinners. Whereas KEKW Kier's 10, but then 5. So the issue is kind of a bit of a all or nothing, and those kill points are really helping them out. Additionally, Liberate only 9 placement points and 25 kills. So those double-digit kills are really helping out, and I think perhaps maybe even Ascendance, right? Kind of silently sneaking up here to the 4th. We haven't really seen them do much in the late game, obviously only sitting on 6 placement points for that, but they have been fragging out today.
Yeah. They've been pretty much averaging 5 kills a game, which is really good in this lobby, to be completely honest. And there it is, Sharu at the very top. Poro, I called it.
The boy is on one right now. 2 kills over Nitrogen for the time being, and well, I'm not going to do the caster math, but plenty damage over Hello Senpai. I think it's 500.
That's about 500.
It's not even that. It's not even that hard a caster math. It's just like, look, man. When you're trying to come up with it on the fly, it's easy.
It's 521, dude. See, I'm a genius. I look smart.
Well,
actually, it's 521 point. Okay, the point is where I get lost. I'm just gonna.
Oh boy. Well, the point doesn't really matter. The point is that Sharu is out here doing some work here for Team Clueless. But that being said, Clover, you brought up a great point, and that is that Team Clueless has 20 placement points overall that they've gotten off of their 2 wins, and the rest of the games, where they been? Is that going to come up and bite them in the butt, or can they kind of build off of this lead?
I think it can. That it's a bad habit that we've seen fall to this team not only during PCS3 but in challengers as well. They're very sink or swim. We'll have some fantastic matches, and then we'll have a couple where something doesn't quite work out, that go out a little bit early and don't have anything to show for it. So I would like to see them, even if they can't get those chicken dinners, just stay up late, make top 8, make top 5. Find some confidence in the ability to keep your guys up in the late game.
Please.
Something other than maybe getting circle luck and getting a whole bunch of kills off. Now, to be fair, the first game that they won, they didn't necessarily get circle
they
luck.
worked for that.
They worked that edge, and they ended up cleaning up a bunch of kills. But this time, maybe a little bit of luck going there.
They may have gotten circle, but they still had to work for that one, So I'm still giving it to them, Poro.
I mean, that was a tough place to hold, and they held it pretty well with having pretty much the entire team up in the end. So give credit where credit is due. We just want that consistency. I want to see them play like this
Exactly.
for the rest of the matches.
Just because you sit there with your beautiful face and your salmon-colored shirt doesn't mean you can just judge others, dude. Like, did you hit this guy?
Literally the point.
What you get paid
that I'm in right now is to sit here with my beautiful pink shirt and judge others. But that being said, no judgment getting passed in the negative anyway here for Team Clueless so far. But we've got two more games on Miramar, right? And we've got look, you've got a couple of teams there, actually 11 through 16, really, that could stand to get above 20 points. Going into tomorrow. Who do you think out of that bottom, like 11 through 16, so basically no cap, Pros Don't Snake, Rarity, LPix, Monkey Business, Orion, who do you have your eyes on out of that group to really kind of make a run here in the last couple of games to get themselves in a good spot anyway for that top 8, Clover?
I mean, obviously, I'm definitely cheering for Orion. Monkey Business, I expect better things from them. They can be a little bit silly. In fact, the moments that we've oftentimes seen them on camera are them doing things that they really shouldn't be. And so I think if they can just clean it up, tighten it up a little bit, guys, they might be able to have 1 or 2 good games and throw them ahead. I mean, it's still good enough for some of these teams on the right-hand side to have one very good game and catch them right back up at the rest of the lobby.
Godspeed. Any one of those teams in particular strike your fancy?
I really want Orion to do well, man. I mean,
Everybody
Orion,
wants to do well.
and I think I agree with Clover in the fact that Monkey Business are acting like their namesake. I don't know what's going on with those guys, but it is wild. It is wild.
Just monkeying around.
Just monkeying around. But yeah, I'm hoping for Orion. But realistically, any of the teams that make it up from the bottom, I'll be happy.
Well, I'm looking at you, No Cap. You guys came in first place in the round of 16. I want to see you step it up here in the last couple of games. But we are about to head into our penultimate game. I'm getting to use that word. We are going to throw it over to Toffees and Cammy D for the cast. Guys, take it away.